The notification sound pierced through the afternoon silence like a gunshot. Jennifer Martinez stared at her phone screen, her hands trembling so violently that she nearly dropped the device onto the kitchen counter. The numbers glowed back at her, impossible, unreal, like a glitch in the matrix of her carefully controlled existence. Credit alert, $847,000. From Marcus T. Martinez. Her breath caught in her throat. $847,000. Nearly $1 million had just appeared in her account from her husband, the same man who had screamed at her last week for buying a $12 bottle of conditioner instead of the $8 one. The same man who monitored every cent she spent like a hawk circling prey. The same man who had told her just that morning, with that condescending smile she'd grown to hate, that they needed to tighten their belts, even though his watch cost more than her entire wardrobe. Jennifer's mind raced backward through time, desperately trying to make sense of the present. It hadn't always been like this. God, it hadn't always been this suffocating prison of penny pinching and cold shoulders. There was a time when Marcus Martinez had been her everything. Her knight in slightly tarnished armor, her escape from a lonely existence, her proof that fairy tales could exist in the real world. They'd met 7 years ago at a corporate mixer she'd almost skipped. Jennifer had been 26, working as a marketing coordinator, living in a cramped studio apartment with her best friend, eating ramen more nights than she cared to admit. Marcus had approached her with 2 glasses of champagne and a smile that could melt glaciers. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere but here," he'd said, his eyes crinkling with genuine warmth. "Is it that obvious?" She'd laughed, accepting the glass. "Only to someone who feels exactly the same way." He was 32 then, a financial analyst at a prestigious firm, handsome in that classic way that made older women smile approvingly and younger women turn their heads. But more than his looks, it was his attention that had captured her. He listened when she spoke. He remembered small details, how she took her coffee, her favorite flowers, the name of her childhood dog. He made her feel seen in a world where she'd spent most of her life feeling invisible. Their courtship had been a whirlwind of romantic gestures. Weekend getaways to bed and breakfasts in wine country. Surprise deliveries of her favorite takeout when she worked late. Love notes tucked into her purse. He'd proposed on a beach at sunset, going down on one knee in the sand while a violinist played somewhere in the distance, and Jennifer had cried tears of joy so fierce she could barely choke out her yes. The wedding had been beautiful, not extravagant but tasteful. Marcus had insisted on keeping costs reasonable, which Jennifer had found refreshingly mature. "We're building a life together," he'd said, kissing her forehead. "I'd rather invest in our future than blow money on one day." It had seemed wise then. Responsible. The mark of a man who thought long-term. The first year of marriage had been good. Great even. They'd moved into a modest 2-bedroom apartment, both working hard, saving for a house. Marcus handled the finances, he was better with numbers after all, and Jennifer had been happy to let him take the lead. He set up a joint account for household expenses and gave her a monthly allowance for personal spending. "Just so we stay on track with our savings goals," he'd explained, showing her spreadsheets and projections. "We'll both stick to a budget and in 5 years we'll have our dream house." Jennifer had agreed enthusiastically. She'd never been great with money anyway, often overspending on impulse purchases and then scrambling to make rent. Having Marcus manage things felt like having a safety net. But safety nets, Jennifer would learn, could also be cages. The changes came gradually, so slowly she didn't notice the walls closing in until there was barely room to breathe. The monthly allowance started to shrink. First from $800 to $600. Then to $400. Marcus explained each reduction with reasonable-sounding justifications. A surprise tax bill, a necessary car repair, his mother's medical expenses. "We have to make sacrifices, Jen," he'd say, his voice patient but firm as if explaining basic math to a child. "If we want that house, that future, we need to be disciplined." Her requests for new clothes were met with suggestions to shop at thrift stores. When she mentioned wanting to take a painting class she'd seen advertised, Marcus had laughed, actually laughed, and said, "We're not made of money, sweetheart. Maybe when we're more financially stable." Meanwhile, Marcus's own spending never seemed to slow. He bought himself a new suit for work. $2000, he'd mention casually. I have to look the part for clients, Jen. You understand. He upgraded his phone every year. His golf club membership renewed without question. When she'd pointed out the disparity once, gently, cautiously, his face had hardened. I earned that money, he'd said, his voice cold enough to frost glass. My income is what keeps us afloat. Maybe if you contributed more financially, you'd have more say in how it's spent. The words had stung like acid. Jennifer made decent money in her marketing job, not as much as Marcus, true but respectable. Yet all her income went into their joint account, which Marcus controlled. She paid bills, bought groceries with the money he deemed appropriate, and had to justify every dollar like a teenager asking a parent for lunch money. 3 years into their marriage they bought the house. It was beautiful, a 3-bedroom colonial in a good neighborhood with a backyard and a white picket fence. Jennifer had cried when she first walked through it, imagining their future children playing in that yard, holiday dinners in that dining room, a lifetime of happiness within those walls. She hadn't known she was crying for a dream that would never materialize. The house became another chain. The mortgage was substantial, Marcus reminded her constantly. They needed to be more careful than ever. Jennifer's allowance dropped to $200 a month. Her requests for anything, new shoes when her old ones fell apart, a dinner out with friends, a birthday gift for her sister, were met with sighs and lectures about fiscal responsibility. Do you think money grows on trees? Marcus would ask, his tone dripping with condescension. Do you have any idea how hard I work to provide for us? But Jennifer noticed things. She noticed that Marcus never seemed to struggle. His wardrobe expanded. He took work trips that seemed more like vacations. He'd come home smelling of expensive cologne she'd never seen in their bathroom. When she questioned anything, he'd turn it around on her. You're being paranoid, he'd say. And frankly, it's insulting. I bust my ass for this family, and this is the gratitude I get. Family. They'd been trying for a baby for 2 years with no success. Jennifer had suggested seeing a fertility specialist, but Marcus had refused. Those doctors are scam artists, he declared. They'll bleed us dry with tests and procedures. It'll happen naturally when it's meant to happen. Yet he'd spent $15,000 on a vintage motorcycle last summer without consulting her. The breaking point, or what Jennifer thought was the breaking point until 30 seconds ago, had come 6 months earlier. Jennifer's mother had been diagnosed with breast cancer. The treatments were expensive, and her parents' insurance didn't cover everything. Jennifer had asked Marcus if they could help, even just a few $1,000s. Your parents should have planned better, Marcus had said, not even looking up from his laptop. We can't bail out everyone who makes poor financial decisions. Jennifer had stared at him, this stranger wearing her husband's face, and felt something inside her calcify into stone. That night, she cried herself to sleep while Marcus snored beside her, oblivious or uncaring, she no longer knew which. She'd started squirreling away money after that. $5 here, $10 there, skimmed from grocery money, collected from returning items she'd bought with cash. She'd opened a secret account at a different bank, watching it grow with agonizing slowness. $3,000 over 6 months. Her escape fund. Her dignity saved in increments of pocket change. And now, staring at her phone, at this impossible sum that had just appeared in her account, Jennifer felt the ground shift beneath her feet. This wasn't intentional. It couldn't be. Marcus would never willingly give her access to this kind of money. He'd sooner cut off his own hand than relinquish this much control. Which meant this was a mistake. And if it was a mistake, who had it been meant for? Jennifer's hands shook as she opened her banking app, checking the transaction details. The transfer had been made just 20 minutes ago from Marcus's personal account. The one he kept separate, the one he'd told her was just for business purposes, and that she didn't need access to. Her mind began connecting dots she'd been deliberately avoiding for years. The late nights at the office. The new cologne. The way he guarded his phone like nuclear codes. The credit card statement she'd accidentally seen last month before he'd snatched it away, with charges at hotels and restaurants she'd never been to. The way he barely touched her anymore. The way he looked through her rather than at her. Marcus was having an affair. And he'd just accidentally sent his mistress's money to his wife. The realization hit her like a physical blow, and Jennifer had to grip the counter to stay upright. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. A laugh bubbled up from somewhere deep inside her, a slightly hysterical sound that she couldn't quite control. After years of being treated like a financial burden, after years of begging for scraps while Marcus lived like a king, after years of humiliation and gaslighting and being made to feel like she was the problem, Karma had just walked through her door wearing a wire transfer receipt. Jennifer looked at the number again. $847,000. Nearly $1 million. Sitting in her account. Her account. The one in her name that she controlled. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Marcus, working late tonight. Don't wait up. Another buzz. A call this time. Also from Marcus. Jennifer stared at his name flashing on the screen, her thumb hovering over the decline button. She could almost hear the panic in the rings. He'd realized his mistake. She let it go to voicemail. Another call immediately. Then another. A text. Marcus, call me now. Then another. Marcus, Jennifer, this is important. Pick up your phone. Jennifer set her phone face down on the counter and walked to the window, looking out at the perfectly manicured lawn that Marcus obsessed over, at the luxury SUV in the driveway that he'd bought for himself while insisting she drive their 10-year-old sedan, until it dies. Her hands had stopped shaking. Her breathing had steadied. And in the settling silence of her kitchen, Jennifer Martinez began to smile. The front door burst open with a crash that rattled the pictures on the wall. What would you do if this happened to you? Hit like if you've ever felt controlled in a relationship, and comment below where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe. This story is just getting started, and you won't believe what happens next. Marcus stood in the doorway, his face flushed red, his tie loosened and askew, his chest heaving like he'd run the entire way home. His eyes found Jennifer standing calmly by the window, and something between relief and rage flashed across his features. Why the hell weren't you answering your phone? He demanded, striding into the kitchen. Jennifer turned slowly, her expression serene in a way that clearly unsettled him. Hello to you too, honey. Rough day at work. Don't. Marcus cut himself off, visibly forcing composure into his voice. Jennifer, I need you to do something for me. Right now. Oh? What's that? His jaw clenched. I made a mistake with a transfer. I need you to log into your account and send the money back immediately. What money? Marcus's eye twitched. You know what money? The transfer. Check your account. There's been a deposit that wasn't meant for you. Jennifer tilted her head, playing with the wedding ring on her finger, the modest band he'd insisted on because the marriage is what matters, not the jewelry. Wasn't meant for me? But it came from your account, Marcus. To my account. Seems pretty intentional. It was a mistake. His voice rose, that vein in his forehead starting to pulse the way it did when he was losing control. I was making multiple transfers and I selected the wrong recipient. Simple human error. Multiple transfers, Jennifer repeated slowly. How interesting. And where were these other transfers going? That's none of your... Marcus stopped, recalibrating. When he spoke again, his voice had taken on that patronizing tone she knew so well. Jennifer, sweetheart, this is serious. That money is tied up in a business deal. I need it back immediately, or there will be significant financial consequences for us. For us. Jennifer laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Funny how it's suddenly us when you need something. What's that supposed to mean? It means, Jennifer said, her voice hardening, that for 5 years, you've controlled every penny I spend. You've made me beg for money to buy tampons, Marcus. Tampons. You've lectured me about buying name-brand cereal instead of generic. You told me I couldn't help my mother pay for cancer treatment because my parents should have planned better. But somehow you've always had money for yourself. New suits. Golf trips. That ridiculous motorcycle. And now apparently you have nearly $1 million to transfer somewhere. So forgive me if I'm not rushing to fix your little mistake. Marcus's face had gone from red to pale. You're being irrational. This is my money from an investment that came through. I was moving it for tax purposes. I need you to trust me. Trust you. Jennifer's smile didn't reach her eyes. The same way I've trusted you for the past 5 years while you've treated me like a child who needs an allowance? I've been protecting us. Building our future. Everything I've done has been for. Who is she? The question landed like a bomb in the space between them. Marcus froze, his mouth still open mid-sentence. What? The woman you meant to send that money to, Jennifer said calmly. Who is she? I don't know what you're. Don't? Jennifer's voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare insult me by lying to my face right now. You accidentally sent $847,000 to the wrong account. That's not the kind of mistake someone makes when they're transferring money for business or taxes, Marcus. That's the kind of mistake someone makes when they're so distracted by their affair that they click the wrong name in their transfer list. Marcus's silence was answer enough. Jennifer felt something break loose in her chest. Not her heart that had been breaking in slow motion for years, but rather the last threads of the person she used to be, the woman who'd made herself small to fit into his world. How long? She asked. Jennifer, How long? Marcus ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration she'd seen 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. 2 years, he said finally. A little over 2 years. 2 years. Jennifer's mind reeled. 2 years of lies. 2 years of him coming home and kissing her cheek with the same mouth that had been kissing someone else. 2 years of her apologizing for spending too much while he'd been bankrolling an entire separate relationship. What's her name? I'm not discussing. What's her name? Jennifer's voice rose to a shout that surprised them both. Vanessa, Marcus said quietly. Her name is Vanessa. And what does Vanessa do that's worth $847,000? Marcus's jaw worked. She's starting a business. I was helping with startup capital. The absurdity of it hit Jennifer like a slap. Startup capital, she repeated. You gave your mistress nearly $1 million for startup capital, but when I asked for $5,000 to help my mother with cancer treatment, you said we couldn't afford it. That's different. You're damn right it's different. Jennifer's control finally shattered, tears streaming down her face. My mother is sick, Marcus. She's sick, and you told me we had to be responsible with our money. Meanwhile, you're throwing money at some woman so she can play entrepreneur. You don't understand the situation. Then explain it to me. Explain how the man who won't let me buy a new pair of jeans without a guilt trip somehow has $1 million lying around for his girlfriend. Marcus's face hardened, and there it was, the cold contempt she'd caught glimpses of but had always convinced herself she was imagining. You want to know the truth? Fine. I keep you on a budget because you're irresponsible with money. You always have been. Before we got married, you were living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in credit card debt from buying crap you didn't need. I've spent our entire marriage cleaning up your financial messes and keeping us afloat. My financial messes? Jennifer's voice was dangerously quiet. Marcus, when we got married, I had $3,000 in credit card debt from my car breaking down. You made me feel like I was a financial disaster, but I paid it off in 6 months. Every penny of my salary goes into our joint account. I haven't made a purchase over $20 without asking permission in years. What financial messes are you talking about? The principle remains. The principle is that you're a liar and a hypocrite. Jennifer grabbed her phone off the counter. You've been gaslighting me for years, making me think I was the problem, that I was irresponsible and ungrateful. While you've been living a completely separate life with money you convinced me we didn't have. That money is mine. Marcus roared, his composure finally shattering. I earned it. I invested it. It's my money to do with as I please. Then why is it in a joint account under both our names, Marcus? Jennifer shot back. If it's yours and yours alone, why did the transfer come from an account I legally have equal access to? The color drained from Marcus's face as he realized his mistake. Not the transfer error, but this one right now. I misspoke. The investment account is separate. But the money that went to you came from our joint business account. I need it back. Jennifer pulled up her banking app with shaking hands. The money sat there bright and real in hers. I don't think so. Jennifer. No. She looked up at him, this man she'd loved, this stranger she'd been living with. You don't get to do this. You don't get to control me and humiliate me and cheat on me and then demand I hand over money because you made a mistake trying to pay off your mistress. If you don't transfer that money back right now, I will call the police, Marcus said, his voice low and threatening. I'll report it as fraud. Stolen funds. You'll be arrested. Jennifer actually laughed. Go ahead. Call them. I'd love to explain to the police how you accidentally sent me money while trying to transfer it to the woman you've been cheating on me with. I'm sure that'll go great for you. Marcus stepped closer, towering over her in a way that was meant to intimidate. You have no idea who you're messing with. That money is tied to things you can't begin to understand. There are people expecting that transfer, and if it doesn't go through, there will be consequences. Consequences for who? You. Your mistress. Jennifer held her ground. Honestly, Marcus, I'm having a hard time caring about your problems right now. This isn't a game. You're right, it's not. It's my life. The life you've been systematically destroying while pretending to be a devoted husband. Jennifer grabbed her purse from the counter. I'm leaving. Like hell you are. Marcus moved to block the door. Get out of my way. Not until you transfer that money back. They stood there, locked in a stalemate, the kitchen they'd chosen together now feeling like a battlefield. Jennifer could see the calculation in Marcus's eyes, the assessment of how far he could push, what tactics would work. If you try to stop me from leaving, that's unlawful imprisonment, Jennifer said calmly. Another thing I could call the police about. You're being ridiculous. I'm being ridiculous? Jennifer's voice climbed again. You're having an affair. You just tried to give your mistress nearly $1 million, and I'm being ridiculous for not wanting to be in the same room as you? Marcus's phone buzzed in his pocket. Then again. And again. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and Jennifer saw something she'd never seen before in her husband's face. Genuine fear. Who's that? She asked. Vanessa, wondering where her money is? Marcus ignored her, typing furiously on his phone. The device buzzed again immediately and he cursed under his breath. Marcus, who's calling you? None of your business. But his hands were shaking now, and sweat had broken out on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Jennifer's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Unknown? Is this Jennifer Martinez? We need to speak about your husband. This is urgent. She stared at the message, her heart racing. Marcus, what did you do? Nothing. I didn't do anything. But his voice lacked conviction. Another text. Unknown. Your husband has been stealing from his company. The money he sent you is stolen. If you don't cooperate, you'll be implicated as an accomplice. Jennifer felt the blood drain from her face. She looked up at Marcus, who was now pacing the kitchen, his phone pressed to his ear, having a heated whispered conversation with someone. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just about controlling behavior and financial abuse. Marcus had done something illegal, and he just accidentally made Jennifer an accessory to it. The money in her account was suddenly radioactive. Marcus ended his call and looked at Jennifer with an expression she couldn't quite read. Part desperation, part calculation, part something that might have been regret in a man capable of feeling it. We need to talk, he said. Really talk. Because this situation is a lot more complicated than you think, and like it or not, you're involved now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. What do you think Marcus did? Drop your theories in the comments below. This story is about to get even more intense. Jennifer's hands felt numb as she gripped her phone, the threatening text message glowing on the screen like a beacon of her worst nightmare materializing. Sit down, Marcus said, his voice stripped of its usual arrogance, replaced by something Jennifer had rarely heard, genuine anxiety. Don't tell me what to do. But she pulled out a kitchen chair anyway, her legs suddenly unreliable. Marcus sat across from her, the table that had hosted countless silent dinners now a barrier between them. He looked older somehow, the confident mask he wore cracking to reveal something haggard underneath. How much do you know? He asked. Assume I know nothing, Jennifer replied. Because up until an hour ago, I thought I was married to a controlling cheapskate, not a criminal. Marcus flinched. It's not that simple. It never is with you. Jennifer held up her phone. I just got a text from someone claiming you've been stealing from your company. Is that true? Silence. Marcus? Yes. The word came out like a confession ripped from his throat. Yes, it's true. The kitchen seemed to tilt. Jennifer gripped the edge of the table. How much? Over the past 3 years? About 2.3 million. Jennifer's vision blurred. 2.3. She couldn't even finish the sentence. How is that even possible? I'm the senior financial analyst, Marcus said, his voice hollow. I handle high-value client accounts. It was easy at first. Small amounts moved between accounts, categorized as fees or expenses. No one noticed. By the time I realized how deep I was in, there was no way out. Why? Jennifer's voice broke. We have good jobs. A nice house. Why would you risk everything? Marcus laughed, a bitter sound. Because I was drowning. The mortgage, the car payments, my mother's medical bills. Your mother's medical bills? Jennifer's head snapped up. The ones you used as an excuse to cut my allowance? Those were real. Yes, they were real. She has dementia. The care facility costs $12,000 a month. My sister doesn't contribute anything, so it's all on me. You never told me any of this. Because you would have wanted to help. Marcus shouted. You would have offered to use our savings to get a second job, to do something noble and stupid that would have destroyed the lifestyle I worked so hard to build. The words hung in the air like poison gas. Jennifer stared at the man across from her, seeing him clearly for perhaps the first time. You kept me poor and humiliated so you could maintain your lifestyle while committing fraud to pay for your mother's care that you were too proud to ask for help with? It's more complicated than that. Then explain it. Because from where I'm sitting, you've been living a lie for years, making me feel like garbage for asking for basic necessities, while you were stealing millions and giving hundreds of thousands to your mistress. Vanessa isn't just my mistress. Marcus rubbed his face with both hands. She's my business partner. The startup capital I mentioned? It's real. We're starting a consulting firm, one that would have laundered the money I took and made it legitimate. It was supposed to be my exit strategy. Jennifer felt like she was listening to a stranger's confession. So you were going to leave me? Take the stolen money, start a business with your girlfriend and just, what? Divorce me and disappear? I don't know what I was going to do. Marcus looked genuinely lost. The plan was always evolving. Vanessa kept pushing for more money, saying we needed to invest bigger to make it work. I kept telling myself I could pay everything back once the business took off. That I'd fix it all before anyone noticed. But someone noticed. Yeah, someone noticed. Marcus's phone buzzed again, and he glanced at it with the expression of a man watching his execution clock tick down. That text you got? It's from Neil Chambers. He's the senior partner at my firm. They've been conducting an internal audit for the past 2 weeks. They know money is missing. They're close to tracing it to me. How close? I thought I had another month. Maybe 2. The transfer to you was supposed to be the last piece, getting the rest of the seed money to Vanessa so we could file the business paperwork, create the appearance of legitimate investment. Once the business was established, I could claim the missing funds were tied up in a private venture. Marcus laughed bitterly. But I was stressed, distracted, and I selected your name instead of hers in my transfer list. Your names are both saved. I didn't double-check. And now that money is sitting in my account, and you've made me an accessory to your fraud. They don't know you have it yet, Marcus said quickly. The text was a fishing expedition. Neil's guessing, trying to spook us into revealing something. But if they can trace the transfer to you, if they can prove you knew what was happening, I could go to jail. The words felt unreal in Jennifer's mouth. Not if you transfer it back. Right now. If the money's back in the account before they can trace it, you're clean. You knew nothing. I made a transfer to my wife, changed my mind, she sent it back. End of story. Jennifer's mind raced. Part of her, the part that had been trained over 5 years to defer to Marcus's financial expertise, wanted to do exactly what he said. Fix his mess. protect herself, make the problem disappear. But another part of her, the part that had been growing stronger since the moment she'd seen that credit alert, rebelled. "What happens to you?" she asked. "What? If I transfer the money back, what happens to you? Does it save you from getting caught?" Marcus hesitated. "It buys me time. If I can get the money to Vanessa and establish the business, I might still be able to present it as a legitimate venture before the audit concludes." "So you want me to help you complete your fraud scheme, protect your mistress's investment, and salvage the plan that involved you leaving me?" That's not how I'd phrase it." Jennifer stood up so fast her chair screeched against the floor. "How would you phrase it, Marcus? Use your words carefully because this might be the last real conversation we ever have." Marcus rose as well, and for a moment he looked like he might try the intimidation tactic again. But something in Jennifer's eyes must have warned him off, because he sagged back into his chair instead. "I need your help," he said quietly. "Please. If this falls apart, I go to prison. My career is destroyed. The house, the cars, everything we've built, gone. My mother will end up in a state facility. And yes, you'll be implicated too because they'll dig into everything and they'll find the joint accounts, the transfers, all of it. They'll make you look like a co-conspirator even if you weren't. So I'm trapped. Either I help you complete your fraud and hope it works, or I do nothing and risk going down with you anyway. I know how it sounds. Do you?" Jennifer's voice shook with rage. "Do you have any idea what you've done? You've stolen from your company. You've cheated on me. You financially abused me for years. And now you've made me an unwitting accomplice to a federal crime. All while making me feel like I was the problem. Like I was the one who was irresponsible and ungrateful. I never meant for it to go this far. That's what they all say." Jennifer grabbed her purse again. "I need to think. Where are you going?" "Away from you." She headed for the door. "Jennifer, wait." Marcus scrambled after her. "You can't just leave. We need to make a decision about this money." "No, you need to make decisions. I need to figure out if I'm going to end up in prison because I married a con artist. If you don't transfer that money back, Vanessa will come after you." Jennifer froze with her hand on the doorknob. "Excuse me?" Marcus had the grace to look ashamed. She's not exactly patient. When she finds out you have the money and won't give it back, she'll make things difficult." "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning. She's intense. Determined. She needs that money for the business and she won't let anyone stand in the way of getting it." Jennifer turned to face him fully. "Let me get this straight. Your mistress, who you've been funneling hundreds of thousands of stolen dollars to, is going to come after me, your wife, because you accidentally sent her money to the wrong person?" "She doesn't know you're my wife," Marcus admitted. "I told her I was divorced." "Of course he did." Jennifer felt something snap inside her. Not break because there was nothing left to break, but rather a release like a rope being cut. "Congratulations, Marcus. In the span of one conversation, you've managed to make everything exponentially worse. I'm trying to protect you. You're trying to protect yourself." Jennifer yanked open the door. "The only question is whether I'm going to let you drag me down with you." She was halfway to her car when Marcus called out from the doorway. "The money isn't in your account anymore." Jennifer spun around. "What?" Marcus was looking at his phone, his face ghost white. "I just got an alert. Someone initiated a transfer out of your account 15 minutes ago. $847,000. It's gone." The world tilted on its axis. Jennifer ran back to the house, pulling up her banking app with shaking hands. Sure enough, the money was no longer there. In its place was a transfer notification. Debit, $847,000. To V. Chen Consulting Group. Authorized by, account holder. "I didn't authorize this," Jennifer whispered. "I didn't touch the money." Marcus was scrolling frantically through his own phone. "Vanessa. She must have, but how? She doesn't have access to your account. Unless what? Unless she has someone who does." Marcus looked up, and Jennifer saw genuine fear in his eyes. "Vanessa isn't just a consultant. Her family, they have connections. Serious connections. If she wanted access to financial accounts, she could get it. Are you telling me your mistress hacked my bank account and stole nearly $1 million? I'm telling you that Vanessa is more dangerous than I let on, and now she has the money and knows you were supposed to have it. Which means she knows you're involved. Which means... His phone buzzed. A text. Marcus read it and his face went from pale to green. What? What does it say? Marcus held up his phone with a shaking hand. The message was short and chilling. Vanessa, tell your wife to stay out of my way. Or she'll find out what happens to people who interfere with my business. This is getting crazy. What would you do in Jennifer's position? Comment below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what happens next. Is Vanessa a hacker, a criminal, or something worse? Share this story with someone who loves a good plot twist. Jennifer sat in her car in the driveway for 20 minutes, staring at her phone screen. The threatening message from Vanessa burned into her retinas. Her hands had stopped shaking, replaced by a cold, calculated fury that surprised her. $847,000. Gone. Transferred without her permission to a woman who was threatening her, a woman who'd been sleeping with her husband, a woman who apparently had the technical capability and moral vacancy to steal from her. But something didn't add up. Jennifer pulled up her banking app again, examining the transfer details more carefully. The transaction showed it had been authorized by account holder, but she hadn't authorized anything. She checked her email. No verification codes. No transfer confirmations. Nothing. She called her bank's fraud hotline, putting the call on speaker as she sat in the growing darkness of her driveway. First National Bank, Fraud Department. This is Cheryl speaking. How can I help you? Yes, hi. My name is Jennifer Martinez. Someone just transferred $847,000 out of my account without my authorization. I need to report it as fraud and get the transfer reversed. There was typing on the other end. Okay, Mrs. Martinez, I'm pulling up your account now. Can you verify your social security number and address? Jennifer provided the information, her heart pounding. I see the transaction you're referring to, Cheryl said. It shows here that the transfer was initiated from your registered IP address using your login credentials at 4:47 p.m. today. Did someone else have access to your banking information? No, wait. My registered IP address? What does that mean? It means the transfer was made from the same internet connection that your account is usually accessed from. Is that your home address at 2847 Maple Drive? Jennifer looked up at the house, where she could see Marcus pacing in the kitchen through the window. Yes, that's my home address. Then the transfer was made from your home computer or a device connected to your home network. Did anyone else have access to your devices today? The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. Marcus. He had her passwords, had insisted years ago on having them for emergencies. He had access to their home network, to her laptop that sat in the study, to everything. Mrs. Martinez? Are you still there? Yes, I'm here. I think my husband may have initiated the transfer without my knowledge. There was a pause. I see. That's actually a civil matter rather than bank fraud. Since the transfer was made from your home using legitimate login credentials, and your husband would have legal access to the home and potentially the device, the bank can't reverse it without a police report or court order. But I didn't authorize it. I understand, but from the bank's perspective, the security protocols were followed. The transfer was made from your registered location using your credentials. You'd need to file a police report for unauthorized access, or file for a temporary restraining order if you believe your husband is misusing your financial accounts. With either of those documents, we can freeze any future transfers and possibly reverse this one, but it would need to go through the proper legal channels. Jennifer wanted to scream. How long does that take? The police report can be filed today. The restraining order would require a court appearance, usually within 72 hours. But Mrs. Martinez, I should tell you, if the receiving account has already moved those funds, recovery becomes significantly more difficult. What do you mean? Once money is transferred out of the receiving account to another location, especially if it's moved internationally or through multiple accounts, it becomes nearly impossible to trace and recover. You'd be looking at a lengthy legal process with no guarantee of success. Jennifer closed her eyes. Thank you for your help. She ended the call and sat in silence, her mind working through the implications. Marcus had stolen from her. After everything, the control, the affair, the fraud, he'd actually logged into her account and stolen the money himself, then made up a story about Vanessa hacking her to cover his tracks. Or had he? Jennifer pulled up the text from Vanessa again, reading it more carefully. Tell your wife to stay out of my way. Your wife. Vanessa knew Jennifer was Marcus's wife, which contradicted what Marcus had just told her about Vanessa thinking he was divorced. Another lie. But which story was the lie? Had Marcus told Vanessa he was divorced, or had he been working with Vanessa all along and the accidental transfer was something else entirely? Jennifer's phone buzzed. A new text from the unknown number that had messaged her earlier, the one claiming to be from Neil Chambers at Marcus's firm. Unknown. Mrs. Martinez, this is Neil Chambers from Whitmore Financial. I apologize for the earlier text. It was sent in error to multiple numbers during our investigation. However, I do need to speak with you urgently about your husband's finances. Can you call me at this number? Below the message was a phone number with a 212 area code. New York. Jennifer knew Whitmore Financial's headquarters were in Manhattan. She stared at the number for a long moment, then made a decision that would change everything. She dialed. Neil Chambers. The voice was crisp, professional with a hint of exhaustion. Mr. Chambers, this is Jennifer Martinez. I received your text. Mrs. Martinez. Thank you for calling. I'm sorry for the unorthodox contact method, but we're in a time-sensitive situation regarding your husband. I assume this is about the money he's been stealing. There was a sharp intake of breath. So you know. I found out about an hour ago. He told me he's taken about $2.3 million over 3 years. That aligns with our preliminary findings. Mrs. Martinez, I need to ask you some questions and I need you to be completely honest with me. Your cooperation could significantly impact how this situation resolves. Jennifer's mouth was dry. Am I in trouble? That depends. What do you know about V. Chin Consulting Group? It's a company my husband and his girlfriend were starting. He said it was supposed to be a way to launder the stolen money. Did you have any involvement in the formation of this company? Any signatures on documents? Any financial contributions? No. I didn't even know it existed until tonight. Did you authorize any transfers to V. Chin Consulting Group? No. But Jennifer took a breath. Someone transferred $847,000 from my personal account to that company about an hour ago. My bank says it was done from my home IP address using my login credentials, but I didn't do it. Where is your husband now? Jennifer looked back at the house. Marcus was no longer visible in the kitchen. He's inside our house. Mrs. Martinez, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Marcus has likely realized that the investigation is closing in. If he transferred money from your account without your authorization, he's trying to complete his exit strategy before we can freeze his assets. That money is probably already moving to accounts we can't trace. What should I do? First, do not go back into that house alone. Do you have somewhere safe you can go? Yes. My sister's house. Good. Go there now. Second, I need you to come to our Manhattan office tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Bring any documentation you have about your joint finances, bank statements, credit card bills, anything that shows your household financial activity. We're not interested in prosecuting you, Mrs. Martinez. We want Marcus and we want our money back. But we need your cooperation. What happens if I help you? If you provide us with information that helps us recover the funds and prove that you had no knowledge of or involvement in the fraud, the company won't pursue any action against you. We'll also provide documentation for your divorce proceedings showing that the debt incurred was solely your husband's responsibility. Divorce. The word should have hurt, but instead it felt like a door opening. And if I don't help you? Then we'll be forced to pursue every avenue to recover our funds, which includes examining all joint accounts, joint assets, and potentially freezing everything while we sort out what belongs to whom. That process could take years, Mrs. Martinez. And in the meantime, you'd have no access to your home, your accounts, or anything else tied to your husband's name. It wasn't really a choice at all. I'll be there tomorrow at 9, Jennifer said. One more thing. Does Marcus know you're talking to me right now? Jennifer glanced at the house again. No. Keep it that way. And Mrs. Martinez? Don't trust anything he tells you from this point forward. People in Marcus's position will say anything to protect themselves, including sacrificing the people closest to them. The call ended, and Jennifer sat in the darkness of her car, feeling like she was in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. 24 hours ago, her biggest problem had been scraping together enough grocery money after Marcus had forgotten to transfer her allowance. Now she was potentially implicated in a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme, being threatened by her husband's mistress, and about to become a witness against the man she'd once loved. Her phone buzzed again. Marcus, where are you? We need to talk. I can explain everything. Jennifer typed back, I'm at the store. Be home in 30 minutes. She wasn't going to the store. She was going to her sister's house. But she needed time to think, time to gather what little she could carry, time to figure out her next move. She started the car and pulled out of the driveway, watching her house disappear in the rearview mirror. The house she'd thought would be filled with children and Christmas mornings and a lifetime of happiness. Instead, it had been a prison, and she'd been too blind to see the bars. Her phone rang. Not a text this time, a call from another unknown number. Against her better judgment, Jennifer answered. Hello. Is this Jennifer Martinez? The voice was female, smooth, with an accent Jennifer couldn't quite place. Who is this? My name is Vanessa Chin. I believe we have something to discuss. Jennifer's blood ran cold. She pulled over to the side of the road, her hands gripping the steering wheel. I have nothing to say to you. Oh, I think you do. You see, I just received a very large sum of money that was supposed to arrive hours ago. Money that apparently sat in your account for quite some time before Marcus so kindly rectified his error. Marcus transferred that money without my permission. Did he? Vanessa's laugh was like ice cracking. How convenient. Tell me, Jennifer, may I call you Jennifer? Do you have any idea what that money represents? I don't care what it represents. It was stolen. Stolen is such an ugly word. I prefer relocated. But that's not my concern. My concern is that for nearly 2 hours, you had access to $847,000 that belongs to me. 2 hours where you could have moved it, hidden it, or done any number of things to complicate my business plans. That makes me very nervous. I didn't touch your money, but you could have. And that's the problem. You see, Jennifer, I've invested significant time and resources into my relationship with Marcus. He's been a very useful partner, both personally and professionally. I can't have complications threatening our arrangement. Your arrangement? You mean the fraud scheme you've been running together? I mean the business we're building, Vanessa corrected. Marcus may have been creative in his fundraising methods, but that's between him and his conscience. My hands are clean. Your hands are covered in stolen money. Prove it. Vanessa's voice hardened. But that's not why I'm calling. I'm calling to make sure we understand each other. Marcus made a mistake. A very expensive, very stupid mistake, by sending that money to you. But the mistake has been corrected. The money is where it belongs. And now we all move forward. By move forward, do you mean Marcus leaves me and runs off with you using stolen funds? What Marcus does with his personal life is his business. I'm his business partner, nothing more. That's not what he told me. There was a pause. Marcus told you we're involved romantically? 2 years, he said. Vanessa's laugh this time was genuine, almost delighted. Oh, that's precious. Jennifer, I'm not sleeping with your husband. I'm gay. Happily partnered for 6 years with a woman Marcus has never met. Our relationship is purely transactional. Jennifer's mind reeled. But he said what you needed to hear to explain where the money was going. An affair is much easier for a wife to understand than a business partnership built on embezzlement, isn't it? More sympathetic even. Makes him seem weak rather than calculating. You're lying. Am I? Ask yourself this. In 2 years of this supposed affair, did you ever find any real evidence? Lipstick on collars? Hotel receipts? Perfume that wasn't yours? Or just a gut feeling and some late nights at work? Jennifer's silence was answer enough. Marcus is many things, Vanessa continued, but he's not a romantic. He's a pragmatist. He needed capital. I needed a partner with access to substantial funds and a willingness to bend rules. We made a mutually beneficial arrangement. The affair story was his safety net. If you ever discovered the money, he could play the remorseful husband rather than the calculating criminal. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand the situation clearly. Marcus has backed himself into a corner. His company is investigating. The money he took is now locked into business accounts that can't be easily accessed or returned. And he has you, his wife, who could corroborate his story or destroy it. What do you want from me? Stay out of it. Don't cooperate with the investigation. Don't file for divorce right now. Play the supportive wife for just a few more months while we establish the business and create proper documentation. Once everything is legitimate, you can leave him, take half the assets, and walk away clean. I'll even make sure your half is substantially more than what you'd get in a contentious divorce. You want me to help you complete your fraud. I want you to help yourself. You think Whitmore Financial cares about you? They'll destroy you to get to Marcus. But if you stay quiet, if you wait, I'll make sure you're protected and compensated. Think of it as payment for years of being married to a controlling ass. Jennifer's head spun. How do I know you won't just cut me out once you get what you want? You don't. But you also don't know that Neil Chambers won't hang you out to dry once you've served your purpose as a witness. At least with my offer, you're guaranteed something. With theirs, you're guaranteed nothing but a lengthy legal battle and public humiliation. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. After that, the offer expires, and you become a problem I solve differently. And Jennifer? I'm very good at solving problems. The line went dead. Jennifer sat on the side of the road, cars whizzing past her in the darkness, her entire world reduced to impossible choices. Cooperate with the company and become a witness, potentially getting nothing. Help Vanessa and commit to the fraud, potentially getting paid. Walk away from both and risk losing everything anyway. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was her sister, Amy. Amy? Mom said you called her crying earlier but wouldn't say why. Are you okay? Do you need me to come get you? Jennifer stared at the message and suddenly the tears came, hot, angry tears that she'd been holding back for hours. She pulled into a parking lot and let herself break down completely, sobbing until her chest ached and her eyes burned. When the tears finally subsided, she texted her sister back. Jennifer, can I stay with you tonight? I'll explain everything. Just need somewhere safe. Amy, already making up the guest room. Come now. Love you. Jennifer put the car in drive and headed toward her sister's house, leaving behind the home she'd shared with Marcus, the life she'd thought she was building, and any illusions she'd still been clinging to about her marriage. She didn't know what she was going to do yet. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She was done being controlled. Done being manipulated. Done being the naive wife who believed the lies she was fed. Marcus had accidentally sent her that money, and in doing so, he'd accidentally given her something far more valuable, the truth. And now, armed with that truth, Jennifer was going to burn his carefully constructed house of lies to the ground. Even if she had to burn her own life down with it. The plot thickens. Is Vanessa telling the truth about not being Marcus's mistress? Can Jennifer trust anyone? Drop your theories in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and share this story. Your friends won't believe where this is headed. Her voice cracked slightly. I've spent the last 3 months rebuilding my life from nothing. I'm living in a studio apartment with furniture from thrift stores. I'm working an entry-level job at 32 years old. I'm in therapy twice a week, trying to undo the psychological damage of years of abuse. And I'm doing it all alone, because the man who promised to be my partner chose crime over our future. Jennifer folded her statement. Your Honor, whatever sentence you impose, Marcus will eventually get out of prison and have a chance to rebuild. I want this court to know that his victims, myself included, are already serving our own sentences. We're serving life sentences of broken trust, financial ruin, and emotional trauma. The difference is we didn't choose this. He did. She sat down, her heart pounding. The courtroom was silent. The judge looked at Marcus. Mr. Martinez, do you wish to address the court? Marcus stood slowly. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Your Honor, I have no excuses. Everything my wife said is true. Everything the prosecution documented is true. I stole money, I abused my wife, I betrayed everyone who trusted me. I deserve whatever sentence you impose. He finally looked at Jennifer. Jen, I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm sorry. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. I hope someday you can be happy. I hope someday you can trust someone again. And I hope that person treats you the way I should have from the beginning. The judge shuffled papers. Mr. Martinez, I've reviewed the evidence, the plea agreement, and the statements. Your cooperation with investigators was noted, as was your complete exoneration of your wife from any wrongdoing. However, your crimes were extensive, calculated, and caused significant harm. Don't click away. The sentence is about to be handed down. Is Marcus going away for years, or will he get off easy? Keep watching to find out what happens next. The judge continued. You stole over $2 million. You engaged in a sophisticated money laundering scheme. And perhaps most egregiously, you attempted to frame your own wife for your crimes when you thought you might be caught. This demonstrates a level of moral bankruptcy that goes beyond simple greed. Marcus's lawyer placed a hand on his shoulder. However, I also note that you ultimately chose to tell the truth. Your sworn statements and cooperation helped investigators recover approximately $400,000 in assets and build cases against your co-conspirators. Your guilty plea saved the court time and resources. These factors will be considered. The judge looked stern. Marcus Timothy Martinez, I hereby sentence you to 12 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. You are ordered to pay full restitution of $2.1 million to Whitmore Financial, plus court costs and fees. You will be eligible for parole after serving 9 years, contingent on good behavior and continued cooperation with any ongoing investigations. 12 years. Jennifer felt the number settle over the courtroom like snow. 12 years was a long time. Marcus would be 51 when he got out. She would be 44, hopefully with a completely different life. Marcus's shoulders slumped, but he nodded. I understand, Your Honor. Additionally, the judge said, I'm issuing a permanent restraining order preventing Mr. Martinez from contacting Mrs. Martinez or any member of her immediate family. This includes direct contact, third-party contact, social media, email, or any other form of communication. Violation will result in additional charges. Yes, Your Honor. The bailiff led Marcus away. He didn't look back. Wait. Before you go, you need to hear what happens with Vanessa. The criminal mastermind is still out there, and Jennifer's not safe yet. Keep watching, this story isn't over. Outside the courthouse, Jennifer was swarmed by reporters. Patricia Hollis stepped in front of her, professional and commanding. My client has no comment at this time. She's pleased that justice has been served and is focused on rebuilding her life. She asks that the media respect her privacy during this difficult transition. They pushed through the crowd to a waiting car. Inside, Jennifer finally let herself exhale. You did great in there, Patricia said. Your statement was powerful. The judge clearly took it seriously. 12 years, Jennifer said. It feels surreal. It's a strong sentence. The judge sent a message that financial crimes have consequences, especially when they're paired with domestic abuse. Patricia handed her a folder. Your divorce is final as of yesterday. I got the judge to sign off early given the circumstances. You're legally Jennifer Martinez until you decide whether to change your name, but you're no longer tied to Marcus in any legal way. Jennifer took the folder with shaking hands. Inside was a single piece of paper. Final decree of dissolution of marriage. 5 years reduced to 1 page. What about Vanessa? Jennifer asked. Has there been any update? Patricia's expression darkened. That's the complicated part. The FBI has been investigating V. Chen Consulting Group, but Vanessa has disappeared. They believe she fled the country, possibly to China or another nation without an extradition treaty. They've frozen her domestic assets, but the offshore accounts, about $1.6 million, are untouchable. So she got away with it. For now. But here's the thing about international financial crime. It's very difficult to stay hidden forever, especially when multiple governments are looking for you. The FBI has contacted Interpol. Her accounts are flagged. If she tries to move money or cross certain borders, they'll know. But she could be gone for years. Yes. Which is why we need to talk about your safety. This is getting intense. Vanessa is still out there and she knows where Jennifer lives. What happens next will shock you. Don't skip ahead, you need to hear this. Jennifer's stomach dropped. The threats. The man who chased me. Is that still a risk? The FBI believes it's a minimal risk now that Marcus is sentenced and the investigation has concluded. Vanessa's primary motivation was protecting her business and recovering her money. With Marcus in prison and her assets frozen, there's less incentive for her to come after you. But people like Vanessa don't forget perceived slights. You cost her money and potentially her freedom. If she ever resurfaces and feels secure enough to act on grudges, you could be a target. The FBI recommended you take some basic precautions. Vary your routines, be aware of your surroundings, maybe take a self-defense class. So I just live in fear forever? No, Patricia said firmly. You live smart. There's a difference. Fear is letting the possibility of danger control your life. Smart is being prepared and aware while still moving forward. They pulled up in front of Jennifer's apartment building. Patricia handed her another folder. This is information about a victim's compensation fund. Given the circumstances, you may be eligible for financial assistance to help with therapy costs, relocation if you choose, and other recovery expenses. It's not much, but it might help. Thank you, Jennifer said. For everything. I couldn't have done this without you. You did all the hard work. I just helped you navigate the legal system. Patricia smiled. You're going to be okay, Jennifer. I've worked with a lot of abuse survivors and I can tell, you have something special. Resilience. Courage. You're going to build something amazing from this. Jennifer got out of the car and walked into her building. Her apartment was small, but it was hers. No one controlled what she bought or where she went. No one monitored her spending or made her feel guilty for existing. Things are looking up for Jennifer, but is she really safe? What happens when Vanessa resurfaces? You won't believe what's coming in Chapter 8. Hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss it. She changed out of her court clothes and made herself dinner. Real dinner with vegetables and protein and enough food to feel satisfied. She ate slowly, savoring every bite, still sometimes amazed that she could eat without guilt. Her phone buzzed. A text from Amy. Amy, saw the news. 12 years. How are you feeling? Jennifer, relieved. Set. Free. All of it at once. Amy, that's normal. Want to come over for dinner this weekend? Mom and Dad want to see you. Jennifer, I'd like that. She set down her phone and looked around her small apartment. It wasn't much, but it represented something Marcus's mansion never had. Freedom. The freedom to make her own choices, to spend her own money, to build her own life. Her laptop sat on the small desk she'd bought at IKEA. Jennifer opened it and pulled up the document she'd started 3 months ago. My Life, version 2.0. She scrolled to the bottom and added a new section. Things I've accomplished. Left an abusive marriage, cooperated with a federal investigation, survived witness protection and death threats, testified against Marcus and helped secure his conviction, got a job in my own apartment, started therapy and began healing, reconnected with my family, learned that I'm stronger than I ever knew. What's next? Continue therapy, build my career in victim advocacy, maybe go back to school, travel somewhere I've always wanted to go, learn to trust again, slowly create a life I'm proud of, help other women escape situations like mine. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. There was no prince, no fortune, no perfect resolution. But it was real and it was hers. Jennifer's transformation is incredible. But her story isn't over yet, not by a long shot. What happens when her past catches up with her? Subscribe and turn on notifications because Chapter 8 is dropping soon and you do not want to miss it. That night, Jennifer had a dream. She was back in Marcus's house, but it was different. Empty. All the expensive furniture was gone, leaving just bare rooms and echoes. She walked through the halls, opening doors, finding nothing behind them. In the last room she found a mirror. But instead of her reflection, she saw the woman she used to be, scared, small, apologetic. The woman who asked permission to buy soap. The woman who believed she deserved scraps. Dream Jennifer reached through the mirror and pulled that woman out. She hugged her, whispered that it was okay, that she'd survived, that she'd become someone stronger. The old Jennifer dissolved like mist, and when she looked in the mirror again, she saw only herself. Present-day Jennifer. Scarred but whole. Damaged but determined. She woke up with tears on her face, but for once, they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of release, the final letting go of the person she'd been forced to become. Jennifer got up and made coffee. Outside her window, the city was waking up. Thousands of people starting their days, facing their own challenges, carrying their own burdens. She was just one among millions, no longer special or unique in her suffering. And somehow that was comforting. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Jennifer's heart jumped. Was it Vanessa? Another threat? She answered cautiously. Hello? Mrs. Martinez? This is Agent Torres from the FBI. Jennifer's grip tightened on the phone. Has something happened? Yes, but it's good news. We apprehended Vanessa Chin 3 hours ago at a border crossing in Malaysia. She was attempting to enter Singapore using a fake passport. The Malaysian authorities are holding her pending extradition to the United States. Jennifer sat down slowly. She's caught. She's caught. Her arraignment will be in about 2 months, depending on the extradition proceedings. We'll need you to testify again, but this time with her in custody and the bulk of evidence already gathered, it should be much simpler. No way. Did Agent Torres just say what we think she said? Vanessa is caught. But Jennifer's not done testifying yet. What secrets will come out in Vanessa's trial? You have to subscribe to find out what happens next. What will she be charged with? Money laundering, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, witness intimidation, and potentially more charges as we dig deeper into her business operations. She's looking at 15 to 20 years if convicted on all counts. Thank you for letting me know, Jennifer said. And thank you for everything you did to keep me safe. You made it easy by being brave enough to cooperate. Take care of yourself, Mrs. Martinez. Jennifer ended the call and stood at her window looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Marcus was beginning his 12-year sentence. Vanessa was in custody facing her own reckoning. And Jennifer was here in her small apartment, free to build whatever life she wanted. It wasn't the ending she'd imagined when she'd said, I do 7 years ago. But it was an ending she'd chosen, fought for, and earned. Jennifer picked up her phone and opened her notes app. She had an idea for a blog, a space where she could share her story, connect with other survivors of financial abuse, maybe even help someone else recognize the signs before it was too late. She started typing. My name is Jennifer, and I spent 5 years in a prison built from guilt, shame, and $200 monthly allowances. This is my story of how I escaped, what I learned, and why I'll never be anyone's victim again. Outside, the sun rose over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. A new day. A new beginning. Jennifer smiled and kept writing. But Jennifer's story continues. Will Vanessa's trial reveal more shocking secrets? Will Jennifer finally find peace and maybe even love again? What happens when Marcus's accomplices start looking for revenge? Subscribe now. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update. This story is far from over, and what happens next will blow your mind. Drop a comment below and tell us. Where are you watching from? Globe showing Europe, Africa. What do you think happens to Jennifer next? Thought balloon: should she forgive Marcus, or is he beyond redemption? What would you do in Jennifer's situation? Share this story with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to choose yourself. Someone out there needs Jennifer's story today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. Jennifer's journey is just beginning.